Tyson Chandler is back in Oklahoma City to stay a while. From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is a Thunder Update with Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, the Thunder's acquired Tyson Chandler. You broke the story on News OK. Now break down the trade.
Tyson Chandler is coming here from the Hornets. In exchange, the Thunder is sending Joe Smith and Chris Wilcox to New Orleans. They're also going to include Devon Harden, the 50th overall pick in last year's draft, who they stashed overseas, and we're looking to either bring either next season or the season after. So all in all, when you look at that trade, the fact that Sam Presti didn't give up a draft pick, that's the best thing about it, you think.
Why would the Hornets be willing to part with the key part of the team that almost made it to the Western Conference Finals last year?
Well, they're having some financial concerns down in New Orleans. Number one, their payroll is sort of getting out of hand when you include Tyson Chandler, David West, Chris Paul, and Peja Stojakovic. The Peja deal is really what set it off when they signed him for that $64 million deal in 2006. They re-upped David West for about $45 million. Chris Paul got a max deal that kicks in next season. So when their payroll is about to be more than $75 million next season, the luxury tax this year is $71 million. So they're going to be paying luxury taxes next year. And George Sheehan, in a small market down in New Orleans, I think that's going to be really tough on them. There's also news that the state of Louisiana can't really pay them the money that they owe them, the Superdome Commission. So there's just financial situations down in New Orleans that they had to do something to kind of get under the salary cap.
Okay, now what does he do for the Thunder?
He's a defensive guy. I mean, here's a guy who averages 1.4 blocks per game for his career. He's a heck of a rebounder, 8, 9, 10 a game. He's capable of getting you. What he's going to do is basically add to the defensive identity that this team wants to establish as its franchise identity. So when you look at, he's a much different center than sort of a Nenad Kirstic who's going to pick and pop with guys and hit an 18-foot jumper. Tyson Chandler, you've seen him catch lob passes with Chris Paul off pick and roll. So that's what he's going to be able to do with Russell Westbrook. He's going to give them an interior guy who's going to get offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, and block shots.
You wrote about this on Monday, the Thunder's search for defensive consistency. This guy really gives them all of a sudden somebody to protect the rim.
Right.
Is that going to show, and how soon will he be able to get onto the court?
Well, he has an ankle injury. He's missed 18 games this season, including the last 12. He will not play tonight against the Hornets, or with the Hornets against the Thunder. He won't play against the Hornets. Yeah, it's confusing. But so I would expect to see him on the court some point this weekend, maybe Friday against Phoenix, Saturday at Golden State. More likely, I would think, because of this ankle injury, next Tuesday against the Los Angeles Lakers.
So we say farewell to Joe Smith and Chris Wilcox, whose contracts totaled together almost equal what Chandler's making. What does New Orleans get in those two guys?
Well, they basically get two veteran guys who can play. First of all, they did it again for financial reasons. They get two expiring contracts, guys who are going to come off the books next season and give them cap relief. But they get two guys who are going to help them in the playoffs. I mean, Joe Smith did it with Cleveland last year. He went out, helped the Cavs in the playoffs. Chris Wilcox really hasn't had any playoff success, but he's a guy who's capable of getting you 15 and 8 off the bench. So that's going to bolster their bench.
Okay, so Tyson Chandler starts at center. What does that do to the rest of the Thunder lineup?
Well, I think Nick Collison is going to have to move to the bench, which might be a good thing for Nick Collison. He can be your energy guy off of the bench. Jeff Green, I think you would have to look at him staying at power forward. And then all of a sudden you have Nenad Kirstic backing up Tyson Chandler, and that's going to be a really good backup for Tyson Chandler because he's a different type of a center. So I just think it adds to the depth, strangely, because they lose two guys, but Chris Wilcox really wasn't playing. I think by shifting Nick Collison over to his natural power forward position, that gives you more flexibility when you have two quality true centers coming in Tyson Chandler and Nenad Kirstic.
Chandler's deal is $11.8 million next season. Then he has a player option for $12.8 through 2011. What does this do to the Thunder's salary cap flexibility?
Well, the good news is, it sounds like a gaudy number. It sounds like gaudy numbers, but Tyson Chandler will come off the books before, if they keep him throughout the duration of the contract, he will come off the books before Kevin Durant and Jeff Green are up for their contract extensions. The Thunder does not have much committed to 2010, 2011, so the fact that Tyson has that $12 million player option, it's really no big deal. They're going to have to pay somebody. It might as well be a 28, 29-year-old center.
Sure seems like a big day in Oklahoma City. You have the Hornets back in town. You have Tyson Chandler coming to the Thunder. And then, oh yeah, there's a mascot to be unveiled tonight. Tell us a little bit about the mascot.
Well, they're going to unveil it at halftime of tonight's game. It's going to be a bison, as Mike Baldwin reported for News OK in the Oklahoman. I think they got it right with this one. The mascot really looks good. I've seen pictures of it. It looks good. He's going to be one of the most athletic in the league, and I think fans are really going to appreciate this mascot.
Okay, thanks, Darnell. You can stay with all the news on the Thunder leading up to the trade deadline, which is Thursday at 2 o'clock. Every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman.